Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm slightly underprepared today. I was just trying to got some new equipment today, and I'm trying to set it all up. It took me a while, and I'm not fully set up, but hey, here we are. Let's get started. Hey, everyone. If you're taking the December SCT, just say hi in chat. I'm here, and I can making myself available to answer any questions they might have. Just even if you don't have any questions, just say hi. Let me know you're in chat. We're gonna get started with a small group of you guys, probably, and maybe with a little bit of luck, we get more people involved. Anyway, let me fix something really quickly on my screen. Yes, okay. So I was trying to write like a little script, but too late for that today. Anyway, hey, how's everyone doing? So, first question, which is okay, Ubat Ladama. All right, welcome to the stream. So, really quickly, I'm just wondering, what are you guys aiming for on the SAT? I'm going to write that actually as a question over here. Members only. Oh, okay, cool. Let's see. Start a Q&A. Start a poll. Start a Q&A. Start a poll. All right. Q&A. Target. Score. Last RNA score. Okay. Ubat is going for the 1500. How confident is everyone feeling? Okay, let me see if I can fix this. All right. Okay, this should work for me. All right, so yeah, Ubat is going for the 1500. Good luck as you go for that. Right now, I'm kind of just, I'm kind of like multitasking because I'm like kind of trying to set up while also doing this. But if you guys let me know what you're struggling with, I can share with you some of my thoughts. We have 1 day left before the actual December SAT. Not even a full day, right? We sleep, we wake up, and we get started. We go to work. L3 Dama got 730, looks like 730, and you're going for the 780. Am I misreading that right now? No. Okay. So 780 is a really really high score. Good luck with that. L3 Dama, like what techniques have you learned, or what tips have you implemented that were really useful for trying to get that 780? Going back to Ubat got 1490. Oh, dude, you've just been kind of you've been tickling the ass of that 1500 since like 8 months ago. Dude, that's rough. Okay, well, good luck. Well, I don't want to continue with that metaphor, but good luck with getting the 1500. Also, where's everyone from? I'm assuming you guys are all in Asia/Europe/Middle East and maybe Africa, but is that actually the case right now? Reading course lessons? I'm not sure. First of all, Sai Durmarhan. I'm gonna call you Sai. Sai, welcome to the stream. So you said reading course lessons. I'm not really actually sure what you're referring to. Are you talking about my YouTube videos? L3 Dama is saying different approaches for different reading question types. Yeah, I mean that's basically, I guess it's really broad, but it's also very true. Like if you're approaching like word and context questions exactly the same way as you're approaching like grammar questions or evidence questions, it's you're definitely at the beginning of, either you're at the beginning of your journey or you've just not been paying attention. Like you've not been you've been sleeping on the SAT this whole time that you've been prepping. So you gotta put more work in. We got Turkey here. We got Azerbaijan here. All right. Yeah, Sai, I still don't know what you're actually talking about. Are you talking about the YouTube videos or are you talking about something else? All right. So looks like whoops. All right. So while I'm sort of waiting for you guys to chat and throw me questions that you actually have, I'll kind of just scroll through the Discord channel. It's been a little dead, and to be frank, I've been quite inactive recently because I've been sort of juggling a lot of different things. Oh, L3 Dama is here. What's up, dude? Okay, welcome to the server. Anyway, I'm gonna go and catch up on this thread that one person has responded to, and then we're gonna go and start looking at maybe Reddit threads if no one here has any questions for me right now. All right, so Shakir it has his plan of attack: mapping the passage, threading, making predictions, matching prediction, moving on. If you can't make a prediction or if you can't find a match, defend all parts. If I'm not able to defend. So Shahir is definitely a student in my course. So so Shahir is using the same like language that I use. So this actually might not mean a lot to you guys, but if you are in the Discord server, I actually I encourage you guys to jump in and just say what your plan of attack is for tomorrow. Okay, like what are you committing today? When you go into that test center tomorrow, what are you committing to actually executing and getting done? Because you can't always you can't control your score, but you can control like your actions. And so those actions are like, not lingering on questions and moving on and making guesses and paying attention to time. These are really basic stuff. Eliminating based on errors, right? Anything that you want to commit to, I want you to actually write it out, because by doing that today and going into the test tomorrow with like a plan, you will feel more confident because you are focusing on the parts that you can control. L3 Dama is saying, hang on, let's go back. Like the reading ones, basically different approach. For inference, you don't predict since it's trickier. Okay, yeah, that's also, that's a valid, that's a valid clarification. Sai wants an 800. So Sai, I actually don't know where you're starting from. If you want an 800, I gotta just say, hopefully you've hit an 800 before on practice test. And if you want an 800 and you've hit an 800 before on the practice test, just good luck tomorrow. Lock in. You've already proven to yourself that you have the capability of doing it all. And so now it's just a matter of executing. Just make it happen, bro. So I wonder if I could. So this, I have this like tool, and it's actually hard for me to see what you guys are saying. So give me a sec. Trying to see if there's like an easy way to like zoom in. All right. Ooh, this might be better. Ooh, that actually might be better. Cool. Wait, what happened? All right, my bad. I'm just like setting something up real quick. Nice. All right, so I can kind of see. Yeah, I just need to fix up a little setting here. All right. So the question that I'm seeing right now is how do you get a 700? I mean, for 700, 700 is kind of an awkward number because 700 is that 700 is kind of like that range where it's no longer about just like real basic tips and tricks. Um, it's no longer like I can't just like say all the low hanging fruit because you've already gotten all the low hanging fruit by that point. And so you actually need to be a little bit more sensitive now to actual sentence structures instead of just memorizing a bunch of rules. You actually need to start, slowing down more on the reading rather than like trying to rush everything. And you need to start building up your confidence in some of your answers instead of just doing a bunch of guesswork. So 700 is a trickier one compared to, for example, 650. Like 650, you can kind of fake it till you make it for 650 with a lot of guesswork, with a lot of process elimination and just strategies for process elimination, stuff like that. So I think really the most important thing when it comes down to that 700 is first of all knowing that you don't have to get everything right. You do not have to get like literally for a 700. That means you can get like one or two questions wrong in module one, and you can get like 8 questions wrong in module two. Now, when you literally count up 8 questions, like if you go to your recent practice test that you solved like maybe yesterday or whatever, and you actually go back over those questions and you think about out of those 27 questions in module two, like which 8 you can actually sacrifice, it's kind of wild. It's a lot of questions. It's a lot of questions. And so I actually, if you've not ever tried that before, I actually want you to do that like today, tonight. Like it's just at least just to encourage yourself. Just go back to that practice test that you solved most recently and look at module two and identify 7 questions that you can just sacrifice. And then on the real test, when you see a question that's like that difficult at the level of like, those 7 you chose, you're going to intentionally sacrifice those 7 questions, okay? And then what happens then is that you actually have a lot more time to focus on the questions that you can get correct. So then you slow down on the reading and you actually make sure to understand how the passage is structured. And then when you look at the answer choices, you're not rushing anymore. You're making sure that the answer choices, like every single word of those answer choices, is correct. And then when you know that's correct, and you choose it and you calm everything else down, right? Like if you're not trying to get an 800 on the math, okay? If you're not trying to get an 800 on the math, like I don't think it's reasonable for you to like allocate a lot of time to like the last 3 questions in module 2, right? Because they're going to be harder. Just like get them wrong, it's fine. And sometimes it's not just the last 3 questions, it's like the last 5 questions, right? It's okay, just guess and get them wrong. But save your time for all the other questions, right? The ones that you actually can do. So if I again, I'm going to summarize this. The question was, how do you get a 700 on the reading writing? I really think the first thing, at least in terms of practically making that happen tomorrow, okay, is give yourself the time to actually properly process some of those medium hard questions by sacrificing the hardest questions, because you don't need to get those right. Let's see. I'm seeing Shahir. Shahir saying any last minute tips. You've done a lot of practice, smoothened techniques, input what to do. I mean, honestly, if you've done a lot of practice, if your test taking techniques feel like they're clicking, I think the most important thing now is to just recount like all the like here, let me actually just I'm not actually going to wait for your reply. You can reply if you want, but like here are some of the questions I would ask you. And I want you to sort of like answer these questions, okay? And then kind of make a list at first, and then try to like compress your answers to my questions into a small, like crystallized version of it that you can kind of lock into your head. And then tomorrow you would just actually execute that crystallized version of your answers to my questions. Here are the questions, okay? Looking back over the last couple months, what changed in your test taking? Okay. What helped the most in changing? Not even the most, sorry. What are some things that you tried that helped you make those changes? Okay. And looking upon all of that, what are some of the things that most helped you? All right. Now, how can you take the parts that most helped you and sequence them so that you know how to execute them in order when, a hard question hits you? I think just those questions, like if you really think through your answers for the questions I just asked, you'll find that there's definitely a repeatable pattern to the way you're solving the tests. Solving the questions. And there's a repeatable pattern to how you manage the harder questions, the ones that challenge you. And there's a healthy way of doing it, and there's like an unhealthy way of doing it. And I think as long as you've kind of like can kind of compress that into like this sort of like a miniature sort of visualization of how you're going to solve the test, you just go into the test tomorrow and just have that in your head. And you could write it out actually on an index card if you wanted. An index card is like one of those paper cards that are like this small. And if you write it out and it's like so simplified that you can actually just run it in your head very quickly, then on the test tomorrow, like there's no reason for you to panic ever, because you're always going to do the thing that you've been doing over the last couple months. Ubot is saying you got a 590 on Princeton Review today, lost all your confidence. You can't get the 650 consistently. Well, I guess Ubot, I think the good news is that Princeton Review is notoriously hard to predict your score with. So I think you should probably not worry too much about your Princeton Review performance today. Go back to your Blue Book or official College Board materials and the scores that you got on those, and go back, and then do the same thing I just told Shahir to do, which is look back on your last couple months, think about what changes, what positive changes you've seen in yourself, and then think about the techniques that actually helped you produce those positive changes, right? Like the things that you actually learned, the things that you've actually like grown in expertise on, right? There's a bunch of things that you've gotten better at, right? And there's some techniques that helped you with that. So write all that down and just really remind yourself of all the good that's been happening. Don't worry. Don't like indulge the temptation to kind of think about bad things, like to think about, oh, what happens if I don't get the score I want, or what happens if what happens if I panic? Like for all of those negatives, you should think of like an exit plan, right? But don't indulge those thoughts. Don't indulge the negative thoughts, right? Just make a plan for them and then focus again on all the positives, which is how much grammar you've learned, how much vocabulary you've learned, what techniques you didn't used to use, but now you use it and it's helping you so much, right? Those are the things that you want to be taking up your mind, your headspace when you're going into that test center. Okay, if you go into that test center just like kind of leaking negativity through like your pores, through like your eyeballs, like it's gonna leak onto the test itself. Don't do that. Okay, like okay, remind yourself of the good. I'm trying to avoid the word manifest here, but like really remind yourself of the good and kind of keep that energy going. Supernova saying good at English, 750. Linked sleep to performing better. Think about it last time. How to avoid sleep anxiety. Yeah, that's the paradox with sleep anxiety, is that the more you think about it, the more anxious you get. So I think the thing is, for your case, okay, I think it's actually, here, you know what I'll talk about? I'll talk about athletes. Like elite athletes, even like I have specific examples in my head right now, but just I'll speak generally to simplify it, or to shorten this little ramble. But when you think of an elite athlete, okay, in any sport, any competitive, and especially like team sports, okay, think about them at like their absolute best when they're on fire, and then think about them when they're injured, right? The fact is that when they're injured, the elite athlete is not going to perform, as well as their best. But the crazy thing is that even when they're injured, they will murder you at at that sport, right? Because they will because they have that sort of like competitive and that sort of like the dog in them, right? To like actually go out there despite the pain that they're feeling, to go out there and like win a game or win a match. And they will fight for every point to win against you. And I think it's not good to have a sort of fragile mentality that says, oh, like, let's think of facts. Like, if I'm injured, then I will perform worse. If I'm sleep deprived, I will perform worse. And let's actually try to make sure not to be injured and not sleep deprived. I think that's good, okay? But then I think the problem with thinking too much about these things is that sometimes you just got to perform in subpar conditions. Sometimes you got to perform when you're injured, or when it's raining, or when you're sleep deprived. And if this test tomorrow is important to you, you got to have the dog in you. Doesn't matter how you feel, okay? You will fucking make it work because you got it in you. You've already learned the grammar. You've already learned the techniques. You've learned the question types. You've learned like a lot of vocabulary. You've learned like what to do when a sentence is like really, really long, okay? Like you've learned all these things. You can execute it. Nothing's stopping you from executing it, even if you are sleepy. So I think the assumption is that you're going to get it. Whatever you are seeking to do tomorrow, you're going to do it, even if you're sleepy, right? But you just don't want to be sleepy. So go and, like turn off your devices. Don't look at YouTube. Don't look at, like, put everything away. Maybe play some music, maybe have like a diffuser, like, like incense, like scents, drink some warm water, and like, and do all that other stuff. Right. And then worst case scenario, sleep still doesn't come. Don't be anxious about it. Like go and do some homework. Right. ideally homework that doesn't require you to do like laptop work, like homework that you can maybe do by writing it out. And maybe if all of your homework is digital and you have to use your laptop for homework, then go and just like write in your journal or something, right? Like just do something productive with your brain that doesn't require you to look at screens. And just that's the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario is you're going to be productive with your night because your brain is going to force you to be awake for whatever, you know, uh, cursed biology reason of yours, right? So just do something with that time, and and then no matter how sleepy you are tomorrow, do it. Whatever you told yourself you're gonna do it. Yes, exercise helps though. Yeah, so I forgot about that. Like, warm drinks, exercise, no sugar. No lights, no blue lights. What else is there? Do the usual routine, the brushing your teeth. Whatever you normally do at night. If you shower at night, you shower. If turn down the lights. Yeah, and seriously, stay away from screens. uh, Sai, you seem very desperate. I'm not really sure what you're desperate for. Dude. Okay, I'm going back to Supernova. Let's see. Nope. So I answered the sleep. So sleeping. Did I answer the question with sleep anxiety? I think. Let me just summarize my whole ramble there. Okay. The paradox about sleep anxiety is that the more you think about it, the more anxiety you get. So undercut that anxiety in the first place by just reminding yourself that no matter how sleepy you are, you can still do it, right? You can still do it. You can beat, you can beat the SAT even if you are sleepy. It's possible. It's not easier, obviously. It's harder, but it's possible. So focus on that possibility and just make it happen. That's the mentality. And then also all those tips, right? All the blue light and all that stuff. Let's see. What is the best thing to do a day before? I actually don't. I don't think there's a single best thing to do the day before the test. I think it's good to. I think honestly, when I was your age, when I was a high school student, I tried to I was just busy, right? I had like homework and quizzes and exams to study for. So even though I have an SAT on Saturday morning, I also have like other projects and other things going on Sunday and Monday. So I was just kind of like, just focusing on my life, and just doing things with my life. And I think that's healthy. I think it's healthy not to make the SAT too important, right? It is important, but it's not so important that your life has to stop, right? You can do other things. Just keep focusing on the things you learned and the techniques that you've built up, and just execute that tomorrow. Just make it happen tomorrow. But whatever you do today, just make it productive, right? Don't don't if you have 2 hours of free time to do nothing, then I don't know, go hang out with friends or work on a project that or a book maybe that you've been kind of procrastinating on. Like, just do it. It's fine. You can literally do it the day before the SAT. It's fine. There's no reason not to do it the day before the SAT. Just keep your body moving, keep your brain braining, keep your smile smiling. Just keep doing stuff. And actually, it just, by being active like that, by being energetic like that, you'll just bring that positive, confident, go-getter vibes to the test tomorrow, right? Just do whatever's cool, whatever's good, don't overly sweat the SAT itself. What do you suggest I do in the morning? Thinking of reading an article from The Atlantic, yeah. Yeah, I think anything to tease your brain is good. I think anything that's not overly challenging, nothing that'll shoot your confidence down. Just some warm-ups, I think that'd be good. If I, actually I So there's like certain like when I do tutoring with students, there's some questions where most students will get the answer right. Um, but even if they get the answer right, I'll like specifically point this question out because just a nice clean question, right? And I'll tell them, yo, I know that mentally you want to think about the hardest questions, but these questions are really key. These moderate difficulty questions that are cleanly constructed, and when you execute the techniques that you learn on them, right, that it's just boom 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 boom, like everything just like lines up and you can actually get the correct answer very very quickly. This is like practicing your scales. This is like going to batting practice or shooting practice, right? These kind of moderate difficulty questions, right? The ones that aren't too challenging for you, they just they just take a little bit of effort to actually get correct, right? These are the ones that are gonna they're the foundation on which your score is built, right? You need to be able to get those answers just in, out, and get that correct answer in that like one smooth movement. And if you just do that over and over and over on these moderate difficulty questions, then it really builds your confidence for the harder difficulty questions. So, why am I talking about moderate difficulty questions? Because I think in an ideal world, actually, I would take these so-called batting practice questions. Probably like have like a group of like 50. And this is actually an interesting idea. Maybe I should make a list of like 100 of these like sort of batting practice questions. Um, and on the morning of the test, you just solve the batting practice questions, the moderate difficulty questions, because it gets your brain going and reminds you of how you're going to solve the questions, like the approach the approach that you're gonna take for the vast majority of questions, and just makes you feel like warmed up, makes you feel like ready to take on the harder questions. So, going back to the question, what can you do in the morning? Just any brain teaser, anything that gets your brain going is good. I use an app called Alarmy, and Alarmy, the way that I mean, you can set up Alarmy to do a bunch of different things, but the way I use it is every morning I do mental math questions on Alarmy, and I'm doing like, you know, uh, what is it like? This 76 times 400 and uh, wait, do I do two digits by two digits? I think I do two digits by two digits. Yeah, yeah. I do like 76 times 45 or whatever, and then I'm just like doing that in my head. But like you can do Wordle, you can do Alarmy, you can read an article, an Atlantic article. Like if you have a habit of reading Atlantic articles, or just anything that feels good that isn't just like social media. Okay, I'll stay away from social media. So anything that gets you warmed up is good. And again, in an ideal world, if you could do like the batting practice, right, the warm up questions, then that would be really good as well. Uh, another thing I think is really good is also to review your notes. Okay, whenever you review notes, it just reminds you of all the things that you learned, and it just feels good. It feels good because that's just like, oh shit, yeah, I do have, these weapons, and it just reminds you of all the tools that you do have, and it's a good reminder, and confidence boost. Protein bar, yogurt. Just I would say don't eat anything that you don't normally eat, because the body can react pretty weird if you eat um, something that is unusual in the morning, especially like a large. If you like eat very, if you normally don't eat breakfast at all, and then suddenly you eat like a massive breakfast, that's going to harm your performance. Um, so try to keep your sort of like dietary habits roughly similar to a general typical healthy day for you. Okay. Um, if you don't drink a lot of coffee, then don't drink suddenly a shit ton of coffee on Saturday morning, because that's going to actually harm you. It's going to make it worse. Like your body's not going to be able to compensate for all that caffeine. So do not shock your body. Okay, do not shock your body. Yeah, yeah. I don't. Yeah. Oh, actually, Shahir, are you? I think did you talk about that in our server? I think you might have, right? You might have talked about it in the server. Are you the one with the shampoo bar or whatever? Can you hear my cat? 왜? 왜? 갑자기? Say hi. Okay. Got distracted. Let's go back to Alarmy. No, go wait. Sai was saying something. I'm a bit Judy, so I want to watch the video later. Yeah, I'm not sure what you're. Yeah, I'm not gonna delete the video. It's all good, dude. The video, it will not be deleted. So I'm guessing you're a bit. You're not Judy, but I don't know what you're trying to say. Yeah. Okay. Cool. But yeah, don't worry about it. This video is not going to be deleted. Also, I usually do YouTube videos. I've been a little inactive the last couple months. I've been juggling a lot of different things, and it's making me realize I need to start cutting. I need to start cutting out some commitments so that I can focus more. But anyway, long story short, I'm here for the I'm here for the so the March SAT is the next SAT after this. I'll do streams for the March SAT. Okay. And I don't know if you guys know, it seems like you can't tell, but I have. And I don't know. I feel like maybe you just need to hear this, Sai, but I literally have a course that teaches how to solve questions the same way, right? So, like, I have a whole course on how to solve questions in the same way that I do, in the same way that I solve them. So it teaches like the techniques. So you can just go and you can just actually learn the way that I'm solving these questions. All right, let's go back. Prediction technique is awesome. Oh, cutest cat. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Prediction techniques. Yeah, I think L3 Dhamma, I think the paradox, that's the thing, right? The thing is that it's okay to race against time and constantly just like be doing guessing. Like, so mostly what test take, like basically everyone I tutor, right? Before I tutor them, the sort of mode that they're in is that they're just sort of in a kind of like a panicky, sort of like this tense, like, oh, I gotta like solve all 27 questions and in 32 minutes, and I need to like make sure that I read every single answer choice clearly so I can eliminate them. And the thing about these answer choices is not only is it like a lot of text, like it literally is like, if you think about it, like if this is the passage here and this is like the answer choices, I mean, oftentimes the answer choices are as long as the passage itself, right? So not only are you like doubling up on the amount of text that you're reading, right? Because you have to read the passage first and the answer choice, but because you're trying to read all the answer choices carefully and those answer choices are pretty tricky, like you have to like think through the answer choices and like kind of analyze the answer choice and be like, what the hell? What's this even trying to say? Is this saying the thing that seems right? And then you're cross comparing to the passage. Like, you don't actually have time to look at all 4 answer choices for all 27 questions. Like you just don't. It's a lot of work, and they're in this mentality where they're just like, I don't have enough time. So they're just going A B C D A B C D A B C D A B C D on all the questions, and they're just hoping to eliminate as many answer choices as possible. And what that does is, whenever they choose an answer, they're choosing that answer because they eliminated the other answers. And so it's mostly guesswork. They're not 100% sure of their answers, right? They don't know that the answer is correct. They just know that it should be correct because the other 3 are incorrect based on the errors that they found. Wow. Like, how stressful. If you're trying to get 800, how stressful, right? Because then it sounds like you just have to do it faster than everyone else, you know? And I guarantee, I mean, I don't know, like, I don't know how many videos of mine you've watched, because I don't really drop this information out like in every video, but like, I got an 800 in the reading section back several decades ago when I was a high school student. And I did it without really. I did like maybe 2 or 3 practice tests on the SAT, right? But primarily, I wasn't studying for the SAT. I was studying for like my AP classes. I was just learning up on my sciences, my history, and my language and literature, rhetoric, and I was just learning all that stuff, and I was just challenging myself with the hardest stuff I could find at school and sometimes outside of school. And then it just improved my reading ability. And then I just took the test, and I had some bad habits, to be frank. But because my reading abilities were good, I was able to like understand what the questions were asking, and then I could like choose the correct answer, right? And that doesn't require me to look at every single answer choice every single time. Like, in fact, I can know that an answer is correct. And when you know that the answer is correct, then you don't have to worry about process elimination as much. And that's a different mentality. Now I'm not panicking about reading every single answer choice all the time. I'm more just interested in the passage. And I'm like, so out of these, the passage and the answer choices, I'm actually just sort of taking my time on the passage. I'm just trying to make sure I understand what the passage is saying. And then I look at the question and I know what the answer is supposed to be. Then I look at, I don't know, B, and it's like, that's my answer. I'm done. And like my tutoring students, like liberation, it's like, oh, you don't have to just be fucking like running around like a headless chicken, like pantsless and just sort of like screaming into the void for 32 minutes while like hellfire is like tickling your anus. Like, it's not, it's, you can just sort of like read the thing and actually enjoy the reading process. Yeah, it's liberating. And I don't know. I just think the way, it's this weird self-defeating cycle where people think that these tests are sort of just bullshit games that you can sort of hack, and then everyone tries to hack it, and then because everyone's trying to hack it, it becomes this like really inefficient way of learning it, and then only the kids who have like a lot of money can then like spend like a shit ton of money to use these like really inefficient hacks to get better at the test, whereas all the kids without money, they're kind of just like doing it on their own. And then the kids with money have better outcomes, and then we blame the test for being like this stupid bullshit game that you can hack, right? And it's just like this annoying cycle. It makes me go crazy. Like, no, you don't have to hack it. You can actually just read it. Like, it's fine. You can just you can just like predict the answer. It's fine. So anyway, L3 Dama, you were just saying thank you, but then that just like got me off on this whole ramble. But anyway, yes, racing against time. You said racing against. I think that's such a perfect encapsulation of the feeling that everyone has before they realize that the power is within you, my friend. Like, you can predict the answer. You know, you you can knock out this big bully with like one punch, like one well-placed punch. Like it is within, you have the muscles for it. Like, you can do it. And I think knowing that is such a huge confidence boost. Supernova, 2 hours, 650. Dude, if you can do 650 in 2 hours, you can do 700 with 4 hours. So take courage, my friend. Yeah, turn off your devices as early as possible. And if your mind is like hyperactive, put it on this one thing to focus on. Okay, don't let it just jump around everything. Like focus on one book, one podcast, one journal entry that you want to write. Just focus in on one thing and stay slow. Okay, and I think your mind will catch up. If you let your thoughts jump around too much, you're actually harming yourself, and it's not a good habit to get into. So definitely avoid the phone, because the phone gives you too many stimuli, like gives you too many entertaining or funny or interesting like tidbits. It keeps your brain constantly engaged. So stay away from that. How do you know the main idea? You know the main idea from of a passage from first just identifying transitions, and that does not mean looking for transition words, okay? Because not every transition has a transition word. But if you can go and read a passage, okay, and identify where the transitions are, okay, that is the first step to figuring out which transition, okay, is supporting a previous idea or a later idea, right? Like it helps you to start mapping out the way that the passage is structured. So let me give an example, okay? I have to think a bit for a second. Okay. Let's start with two passages. I'm going to do two passages, okay? First passage, really simple. Here we go. Oh, dude, Chris, you must be so popular. You're really, really tall, and you're on the basketball team. Okay. If I ask you to identify transitions in the passage that I just spoke out loud, I think basically everyone can find the transitions. We're just like, oh, Chris, you must be really, really popular. Transition. You're really tall. Transition. And you're on the basketball team. Okay? So we have two transitions. And if I told, a bunch of like 9th or 10th graders, like, hey, tell me how these three parts like relate to each other. They might not have the words for it, although they technically should, but they might not be able to come up with the words for it on their own. You might have to like help them with the wording, but they'd probably eventually, if you help them, they'll probably say something like, oh, yeah, the main idea is you must be really popular, and the tallness and the basketball team thing, those are details, is probably a very common thing for like a 9th grader to say. Or maybe more like, 10th or 11th grader, they'll say like, those are reasons, right? Those are reasons why, or grounds if we're like in debate, right? Those are grounds for the supposition that this person should be or might be or must be really, really popular, right? So what's the main idea? The main idea in this case is the first sentence. But is it the main idea because it's the first sentence? Well, let's look at the second passage. Hey, Chris, You're really popular. You're also really, really tall. You should join the basketball team. Okay, so this is passage number 2. If I ask you to identify transitions, you'll see the same 2 transitions. It'll be like, hey, Chris, you're really, really popular. Transition. You're also really, really tall. Transition. You should join the basketball team. Okay. Now, in this case, again, I could take the same 9th graders, right, and ask them, like, try to describe the relationships. And now the structure is inverted. Because it's almost the same thing. We're still going to say, like, main idea, right? Or in this case, the main idea will switch. We'll come back to that in a second, but we're still going to use the words main idea. We're still maybe going to use the word detail, right? Or again, if you're more like a 10th or 11th grader and you're a little smarter, you might still say reasons or grounds, right? But now you're getting an argument at the end, right? The argument is you should do this thing, which is join the basketball team. And that's the main idea. So in this case, the main idea is the last sentence, right? And how do you know what's the main idea then? If it can be the first sentence or the last sentence, right? Like, what's the main idea? Do you just look at the first sentence? Do you look at the last sentence? No, you can't know that unless you start identifying transitions. You don't know a main idea until you start seeing the transitions. And then when you see the transitions, then you start seeing the relationships between the different parts. And then you realize which part is the most important part. Then you say, that's the main idea. The main idea is Chris should join the basketball team. Why? Because he's tall and popular, right? And I guess the basketball team is for people who are tall and popular or whatever. But that's the main idea in the second passage. Whereas the main idea in the first passage is Chris must be really, really popular, right? That's a different main idea, even though we're using almost similar sentences. So again, how do you find the main idea? You find it by identifying transitions. Now, disclaimer. Is this something that, let's say you're listening, who asked me that question? Murin? So Mirinda? So Mirinda, like, let's say that everything I said was, it's like, oh, Saul's like spitting fire. Like, this is exactly what I needed to hear. The problem now is, what do you do with that information? Because you've actually never practiced it, right? I think what I said should feel intuitive enough for most. Let me see. If you're like a 650 to like a, if you're 650 or above, basically, I feel like everything I just said should feel more intuitive enough. Okay, that you probably can apply it on the test tomorrow. So, why not just start applying it on the test tomorrow? I would say there's a sizable risk, though. The problem with using this idea is that this idea that I just talked to you about will have some kind of effect on your pacing. Okay? So I'll form it as a true or false question. True or false? If you start identifying transitions while reading the passage, that will make your reading of the passage go faster. True or false, identifying transitions will make the reading of the passage go faster. Remember, I said reading of the passage. I did not say solving the question, okay? True or false, identifying transitions will make your reading of the passage faster. For the majority of people, it should be false. The majority of people, it should be false, okay? The reading will actually slow down. That is going to feel different. And if it feels different and you're doing it for the first time in your life on the real test tomorrow, and if the real test tomorrow is a very important test for you, I would not recommend it, okay? I would not recommend trying this new thing. that I'm talking about for the first time in your life on the real test tomorrow. I would recommend practicing it after tomorrow for maybe the March SAT or future SATs, right? Because I never recommend trying new things on the day of the test. Whenever somebody tries to do new things on the day of the test, the likelihood of it actually paying off is far outweighed by the likelihood of it just causing panic because nothing feels familiar anymore, right? So so I do not recommend taking my advice just yet. Okay. Now, if there, you can be the devil's advocate. I think there's other counter arguments, like maybe it is okay for you to try it. Ultimately, you are the judge of it. But yeah, generally speaking, I would not recommend trying something that could change your pacing like that for the first time ever in your life on the test tomorrow. Okay, it's not a recipe for success. Okay, so it's Megarov is saying skipping questions. Oh, I see. Sacrificing. I mean, it comes down to self-belief at some point, and also it comes down to, do you deserve, like, that's kind of if you've been around for a whole hour, you've been listening to me for a whole hour, then maybe, yeah, maybe I just need to, like, explain, but one hour ago, when I was first bringing out the idea of like sacrificing those questions, right? It was in response to somebody that told me they wanted a 700, and they didn't tell me anything else. They just said, how can I get a 700 tomorrow? And what I said was, 700 is kind of a weird number because up until 650, you can kind of just do the dumb tips and tricks, and you can brute force a 650 using what I consider dumb tips and tricks. But after 650, it's kind of hard to crack 700. It's just really unrealistic and really inefficient to crack 700 without actually fundamentally like changing the approach away from the dumb tips and tricks and actually improving your understanding of the question types and like how to break down a passage. Okay. Finally, I said the good news though is between now and tomorrow, you can remind yourself that a 700 is reachable as long as you sacrifice the hardest questions. And if you sacrifice the hardest questions, you can get like one or two wrong in module 1, 7 or 8 wrong in module 2, plus or minus 1, and you would still be safely in 700 territory. That's what I said. Okay. Now, if you go back to your recent practice test and you look at the questions you got wrong, and if they tend to be the hardest questions, okay? Let's say you got 12 questions wrong, okay? And those 12 questions are mostly very hard questions. And it was unrealistic to get, like 7 of them even right. Even if you had unlimited time, you probably would not have gotten 7 of them right. And then the other 5 that you got wrong, you maybe could have gotten right in unlimited time, but you didn't have unlimited time, and so blah, blah, blah. Okay. If that's you, where the 12 questions are mostly hard ones, you are actually a good test taker. It means that you don't prioritize really hard questions at the expense of really easy questions. You're a good test taker. So the only takeaway for you is just to let yourself sacrifice the top 3 hardest questions more, and then you can kind of scratch at the bottom 5, right? So then instead of like 12 questions you get wrong, you can actually make that down to like, 10 questions wrong or 9 questions wrong because you're scratching at the bottom 5, right? That's really good. Okay, you're in a good place. But flip side, what if you get 12 questions wrong, but when you actually look at the 12 questions, some of them are like hella easy, right? And some of them are hard, and it's just sort of random, right? You are not a good test taker. You're bad at taking the test. You don't know how to manage your time, and you don't know how to manage it and allocate your resources in real time to the questions that most need your attention. And so you're making sloppy mistakes, and when you get things right, you're getting things right out of luck, and it's just a mess. For you, the intentional sacrifice technique will not work as well because it will not work as well because you have fundamental flaws in the way you're taking the test. Okay. So you need before we even get to the place where you're making sacrifices intentionally, you gotta start disciplining your overall test taking approach so that it's more repeatable, right? That you can replicate your test taking approach. And so for you, the advice is, this is really hard though, honestly, and I don't know how a student who makes those kinds of mistakes could be able to do it on their own. But you really want to ask no excuses. What exactly am I doing when I get the easy questions wrong? Okay. And usually what's happening is they're rushing. So then you ask, why am I rushing? What exactly is the moment where I started rushing in a way where it made me get this question wrong? And when you look into that, like the reason is, because the previous question was hard and you had to make a guess. And then the previous question before that was also hard and you had to make a guess. So I had to make 2 guesses in a row, one after the other. And then when we look into that, it's like, well, why would a hard question make you rush on an easy question afterwards? And then you look into the reason for that, and it's like, oh, it's because in my head, I was kind of chastising myself. Oh, dude. Oh, question 7, question 8. I spent so much time on them, and I still ultimately just had to guess. And I just felt really crummy. I felt really bad because I spent so much time on it. And so I thought, because I did this like sort of horrible sin of over investing time on questions 7 and 8, like I have to make up for it somehow. And how am I going to make up for it? I'm just going to rush. I'm rushing. Right? And so you're getting question 9 wrong, right? Like, bro, like you're not even in the mentality to make sacrifices right now, right? Because you're letting the game dictate you, right? You're not dictating the game. Ubot is sympathizing. Dude, in this case, this is kind of like a paradox, okay? I'm saying that you're not ready to do intentional sacrifices, but the reason you're not ready to do intentional sacrifices is because you're not doing it. Because on questions 7 and 8, you actually needed to recognize that 7 and 8 was too hard. And you needed to be like, oh, this is beyond me. I'm going to sacrifice this. And if you had just done that, you might not have even saved that much more time, right? Like on 7, you might have, without sacrificing it, you might have spent 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And then with sacrificing it, you might have spent 2 minutes. And that's only a 30-second difference. But even though it's only a 30-second difference on question 7, psychologically, it's a huge difference, right? Because now you're sort of blocking out number 7 as one of the ones that you might get wrong. And so what you're doing is now you're like deprioritizing this one and prioritizing the rest. And you are believing in your own intellectual apparatus to be able to dismantle easier questions, like question number 9. So then you're feeling good at this moment, and then you go to number 8, and then you look at number 8, bam, 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 and psychologically, it's hitting that weird like threshold again, where you're like, feels like it's a little too hard for me, so I'm going to intentionally sacrifice this one as well. Again, 2 questions in a row that you're sacrificing, but you're doing it on purpose. Does this mean you're going to save a shit ton of time? Not necessarily on that question. Maybe you only save 20 seconds. Although more realistic, it's going to be more like 40 seconds, because usually when people are panicking, they actually invest more time into the next question. But let's just actually whatever, right? Like, you save like 20 seconds, so that's only 50 seconds across those 2 questions. But even though you're only saving 50 seconds across those 2 questions, you know what you're actually doing? You're retaining your equanimity. You're retaining your composure. You're keeping your cool. You're like, okay, 7 and 8, those are sacrifices. All right. And then with that 50 additional seconds that you've now earned, you look at question 9 and you're no longer panicking, because you're like, oh, this one's easy. I don't need to sacrifice this one. And then instead of trying to solve number 9 in 40 seconds, you actually just take a whole minute to properly solve it. And then you're like, oh yeah, I am sure that number 9 is correct. And so now you've completely avoided, okay, avoid, right? You've averted the whole snowball effect, where question 7 leads to a sort of lingering uneasiness about number 8, and then when that compounds, then you start tipping into like free fall on question 9. Right now, you've completely avoided it for the cost of what? 50 seconds that you decided to not spend on those 2 questions. Right? You got to study the psychology of yourself. Yeah, you got to figure out what the hell is actually going wrong. But you guys are not as special as you think you are. Like, people tend to fall into the same patterns with these things, and it's very avoidable. Okay, you just need to recognize that you don't have to win every single question. Okay, if you want a 700, you don't need to understand every single passage. You don't need to double check all 4 answer choices for every single passage, right? There are some questions where you go and give it a fair whack and you realize this is hard. Then you kind of just move on, and maybe you bookmark it because you can come back to it later, but you just move on. And that'll do wonders. Okay, that'll do wonders for your confidence as you're solving the test. All right, it is 9 o'clock my time, so it's past 9 o'clock. It's just this thing hasn't updated. Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna wrap up pretty soon. I just want to see if I missed any questions, and then I'm headed out here. Supernova changed the approach to answering questions. Grammar first. Shahir is talking about what sacrifice actually entails. I think this is something we talked about in the server. And I mean, you have to back let me answer this head on then. I didn't directly answer your question. Now that I think about it, I was kind of going around it from a more philosophical angle. Let me just directly answer it. Don't get easy questions wrong. Just don't get them wrong. Are you smarter than the easy question? I assume you are smarter than the easy question if you are calling it an easy question, don't get them wrong. If you don't get them wrong, then you can sacrifice. Now, if you don't know how to not get easy questions wrong, then maybe they're not easy questions. Maybe you actually are not fully processing the fact that you don't understand why the easy questions wrong answers are wrong and why the easy questions right answer is right. Maybe you're kind of avoiding the harsh reality that some of the questions that other people think are easy are not actually easy for you. In which case, you're not allowed to call them easy questions. I mean, you're allowed to. You can call things whatever you want. But if you actually want to improve, you can't call them easy questions anymore. You have to ask yourself, like, how come you can't get them right every single time? Like, you need to get them right because. But hey, if you long story short, if you cannot get easy questions right with extra time, then you cannot make sacrifices. It's impossible to make sacrifices. Even if I know I can get the easy right and choose not to do the hard right? I don't understand the question. I don't think that is a question. Don't fully understand that question. But my response based on what I understand is yes, the whole point of sacrificing is so that you can get the easy and medium hard questions right. Because you are recognizing the statistical reality that you don't need to get every single question right. So you're prioritizing. People think the SAT, they don't even think about it. They just sort of intuit. They intuit that there's 27 questions, and therefore in 32 minutes, I need to spend about 1 minute per question, right? Because if you spend 1 minute per question, then you're going to get 5 minutes left over. And that's like a thing that people think about at some point, right? And then you realize it doesn't actually work that way, but that's a whole separate story. So that way of thinking is kind of the accordion model, where you think all these questions, there's a certain 27 questions, and you can compress them into 32 minutes. And maybe if you're smart, you can compress them into 31 minutes or 30 minutes or 29 minutes or whatever, right? The problem with compressing is when you compress your test taking so that you can hit all 27 questions, you're not only compressing the hard questions, you're also compressing all the easy questions. And when you compress the easy questions, even if in a sort of separate context where you only look at the easy question on on a board, and you can totally get it right on a board, on the actual test, you're getting it wrong. And why are you getting the easy questions wrong? It's because you're compressing everything into those 32 minutes. Again, whenever the accordion model of thinking about the test leads you into a false belief that you can actually just be faster at everything, when actually every single question has a sort of right amount of time to spend on it for your intellectual level. So question number 1 should take 45 seconds for you. But because you're rushing, it's taking 40 seconds for you. And maybe you got it right, maybe you got it wrong. Probably you got it right because you should have gotten it right. But can you see the problem? When you repeat that across question 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, what happens is that you're compressing question 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Question 2, you should have spent 1 minute, but you're spending 50 seconds. Question 3, you should have spent 1 minute and 20, but you're spending 1 minute and 15. And when that happens, you're going to make mistakes. And why are you doing why are you saving 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 5 seconds on every single question in the first place? It's because you think you have no time, and the reason you think you have no time is because you feel like you have to solve every single question fully. And that again, we're just in a merry-go-round. Like, no matter how many times I explain this, we're just going back in circles because it's like a chicken and egg problem. Like, if you're in this mentality, you cannot do the thing I'm telling you to do. You have to break the mentality in order to not do the thing to not do this thing. So, like, anyway. So let me quickly answer the practical aspect of it. So by the way, somebody L3 Dama is talking about is just thanking me. Thank you very much. I'm glad that I'm able to help you out in a way that that feels real. Chu Kan is saying, what is the strategy to sacrifice the hard question? The strategy is this, okay? But this is assuming that you actually know my strategy. If you're doing your own strategy, you have to figure out your own strategy for how to sacrifice. But here's my strategy. I map the passage once, okay? I think, oh shit, it's a hard question. I look at the question and I try to predict the answer once. But I can't really predict because it's a hard question. I have like a very fuzzy prediction, and if I want to have a better prediction, I need to reread the passage, but I'm not going to reread the passage. I'm just going to go with it. I look at A, B, C, D, and I try to find a match for my prediction once. But it's a hard question. I look at all 4 answer choices, and maybe 3 out of 4 of them match, or maybe 0 out of 4 of them match. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense now. At this point, I stay calm, and I have 4 bullets left in the chamber. I use 1 bullet on answer choice A. I read A slowly. And then I'm like, how much sense does that make? And I measure my confidence, and I take note. Unless I think it's wrong, in which case I eliminate. Then I move on to B. That's my second bullet. I read B slowly. I measure my confidence. And either I eliminate or I move. And if I eliminate, I eliminate. Otherwise, I move on. Number 3, C. I read it slowly. I measure my confidence. And D, I read it slowly, I measure my confidence. And I do it once only. And I think, oh God, I still don't have an answer. Because this is a really hard question. And I now presume to panic. I reread A, and then I reread B, and then I reread C, and then I reread D, and then I reread the passage, and then I reread the answer, reread the question, and then I look at A, and then I look at C, and then I look at A, and then I look at C, right? That's what you're supposed to do, right? No. What you do is after you read A and B and C and D once, you're basically done at that point. At that point, you've had a proper measurement of how difficult that question is. And how do you know it's a hard question? You know it's a hard question because you read the whole passage. You tried to predict the answer. You tried to match the prediction. And then you tried to look at A and B and C and D and eliminate 3 out of 4 of them. But you couldn't eliminate 3 out of 4 of them. Therefore, it's a hard question. Move on. And just by moving on at that point, you're thinking, damn, that is a hard question. I probably won't even come back to that one. Like, it's just so hard, right? Well, it depends on your level, actually. If you're like a 780, then yeah, you probably will come back to that question anyway because you'll have time left over. But if you're like a 720, right, like a question that's that hard, you probably won't even you won't even have to, like, it's not even worth it for you to come back to it, right? You're just sacrificing that one. When I say sacrifice, by the way, be careful. I am not saying don't guess. Make a guess. Just choose a random. Like you probably eliminated 2 out of 4, right? Just make a 50-50. Just guess 50-50 and move on. Okay? Because, you could get it right. All right, so that is the practical step by step on how to sacrifice. So for getting 650, the dumb tip. So the dumb tips and tricks are a little. Actually, that's not really my specialty. I think if you've watched my videos, I actually kind of tailor the videos to above 650. But yeah, when it comes to the 650, like it's all the, all the YouTube videos that talk about like subject verb agreement and dangling modifiers. If a sentence starts with an ing word, then make sure that the subject of the independent clause is a person, right? Whenever there's an apostrophe, make sure there's a noun after the apostrophe. Like, so all those like little rules that are on YouTube, all that stuff. That's what I mean. The other dumb tips and tricks is like read the last sentence first for evidence questions or command of evidence questions. Read the underlined portion first and then read the sentence above and then read the sentence below. Okay. All of those are the tips and tricks that are already pretty common knowledge, I think, for anyone who's been in the SAT prep game for like 2 months, right? If you've watched my videos, I don't teach them at all. I just don't. It's just not. The kids who usually come to me for tutoring usually have a 650 or higher, and they're trying to crack. Like they're not sure why they're stuck at 700. They want to get to 750 or whatever, right? So that's usually the scenarios that I work with. So I'm actually just not the best person for those tips and tricks. I mean, I can make a list of English rules, but it's just not my focus. So if you guys have easy tips and tricks, though, I mean, the one thing came out earlier, which is start with the grammar questions. You can start with question 15, go through 27, then go to 1, and go to 14 or 15. That's perfectly normal, right? A lot of people do that. For student notes questions, what do? Don't read the notes, right? That's the tip. Although more and more these days, you're going to get penalized for that one. You're going to get punished for that one because the SAT has evolved. But those are the tips and tricks, and it's fine as long as if you are scoring like a 600 and like literally if you're scoring a 600 and you just want to get 650, it's totally. I actually think those tips and tricks are fine. They're not bad. They give you a way forward without having to do too much work. So that's really good. All right, guys. I just want to say, if you like listen to my streams, if you've like watched my streams, and like you kind of know the vibe, what you're supposed to do, but it's just like not working. I do have a course online that goes through the step-by-step of like exactly what to think at a given moment and how to deal with this really hard passage, like what you can do to start having better predictions, and when you have a better prediction, what your next step is and all that stuff. So yeah, it's a $30 per month monthly subscription. You can cancel whenever you want, and so if you are planning to take the March SAT or any future SAT, then go ahead, check out this course. We've had 51 students enrolled so far, with me not even really marketing. So I actually need to market more, and I'm probably gonna start marketing more seriously in the next year. And yeah, people have been very positive about the change that they experience. Like they look at the test very differently after my course. So and if you've been watching my videos, I think you can guess what that feels like. But yeah, just try it, and there's a 1 week guarantee, satisfaction guarantee. So you can, if the course doesn't seem like it's the right thing for you, just make sure to send me an email within 1 week, and I'll refund it for you. Okay. So, yeah, that's the course, and good luck everyone on the December SAT tomorrow. It might be nerve-wracking, but I want you to remind yourself of all the good that has happened over the last couple of months, and just to stick to the plan. And if you need a little bit more peer accountability, okay, you can go into our Discord server and you can share your plan of attack in the December SAT plan of attack thread, which is under general. Okay, So if you go to general and you go to this thread, okay, you can actually share your plan of attack here and then hold yourself accountable to your plan of attack. So tomorrow you're going to execute the strategies that you write out here, like Shahir wrote here. All right, guys, good luck on the test tomorrow. Get a lot of good sleep and dream sweet, sweet dreams of your succulent SAT score ripening for the taking. For the taking. What am I saying? All right, ripe for the taking. All right, guys. Until next time, keep on learning, keep on growing. See you in the next one. Peace.